Hello, welcome to the Data for Human Rights module on Google Forms. In this video, we're going to quickly look at how to create a Google form from scratch. On the right of my screen, I've got the survey questions that we're going to put into Google Forms. And on the left, I've got my computer browser open. I'm also signed into Google, so that's why you see I'm already signed in. And so I'm going to just navigate straight to Google Drive. That's how I'm going to get started. I can also scroll through all of this stuff to find Google Forms, but I'll show you the Google Drive route. You can log into Google Drive and start a new, by clicking on New, Google Form. And so this is a really simple form to use. I'm going to start by giving it a title. In this case, we're doing, these are 6 questions, I think they are, and they're part of the training form that you would have seen for other modules in the Data for Human Rights curriculum. We're going to actually practice how to program a few of these questions. And we've split you into teams, so I want you to put your team name here. So this will be, let's say, Team A Survey. And that's that. Now you've labeled your form, your survey form, and it's going to be saved now as a document called Team A Survey in your Google Drive. And to start entering questions, you simply just have to click on anywhere on this little button here, and it will, by default, start a multiple choice question. We're going to start by programming the team ID question, which has, in this case, just 5 categories. Though imagine that we had the whole alphabet listed here, team A through team Z or Z, however you want to call it. Which would be a lot of response categories or a lot of choices that someone could choose from. And you might not want to visually show all of them on the screen because someone would have to scroll through them all. So we're going to format this rather than multiple choice. We're going to do it as a drop-down menu. And to change the type of question, all you have to do is type on this little button here, and you can see that we've got the drop-down format option. Okay, so we're going to write out the question as a statement or as an actual question. In this case, it's just team ID. And all of these options, we're going to just type them in one by one. So the first option is team A. And to add another option, you simply click on that grayed out line. Team B, again, team C, team D, and team E. I'll have you stop here. You don't need to be spending your whole time typing. So we have 5 teams listed, and this will show up as a drop-down. And our first question is all programmed. The only other thing I want you to look at is the buttons at the bottom here. So required is by default turned off. Generally speaking, we want to require all of the questions to be answered in our form. There are cases when that's not true, but for this purposes, I want you to make all of these questions required. Now, let's say we want to add another question. I'm going to make this screen a little bit wider. And off to the right, hovering next to whichever question you're currently on, so we're on this question, so it's highlighted in this case, you'll always see these few options. And to add a new question, you simply push the little plus button, Add Question. And you can see now it's automatically moved us to this next question. That's the question that we're on. See, go back down there. It's got the blue line and it's got my menu hovering. Let's make this a little bit narrower. All right, our next question is community name. So what kind of question is this? Well, we want someone to type in a text response. So this is going to be the short answer question type. And our question, it's not really a question, but our statement is community name. And the short answer text will be blank space given to the data collector. So for community name, we're just going to leave it as is. We're not going to specify any restrictions to whether or not you can type numbers or letters or special characters in case we have a community name with a hyphen, or it's like Village 2 or Village 3. Sometimes we have communities that have numbers in them. If you did want to restrict it to text only, you use the 3 little buttons to see what options there are for this type of question, the short answer question, and you can validate the response by limiting it to a number or a text or how long it can be, etc. but we are going to X out of that because we're not going to put any restrictions on the community name. So we're done with that question, and it's time to move on to, oops, almost forgot something. We have to turn on the required button. We need the community name to be entered. So the next question is about street material, and we've got 4 different possible response categories. 3 of them are defined, and then other is something that people would have to type in themselves. So let's see how we do that. Let's add a new question. Scroll down. We're going to format this one as a multiple choice so that we have to pick one of these bubbles. And it's by default already set up that way. Let's put in street material. And we accidentally changed it, put it back to multiple choice. Okay, so option 1 is tarmac or cement. Our second option is brick or stone. The third is dirt. And to get this other category, you could type in other by clicking on the add option. But you see how there's this blue area here. This is actually a special kind of extra option that you can put in. When I click on it, it types other ... And when the data collector sees this, if they select other, they will be given a blank space to type in what that other is, what other surface material they're seeing in the field. So we're going to require this question to be answered, and that one is done. We don't need to restrict it in any kind of way or do any other of these validation things. Okay, let's move on to the next question, which is the street quality. It is a similar kind of question. It's also a multiple choice question. You can only pick one of these 3 options. So let's add our new question, leave it as multiple choice, and type in street quality. And our 3 options, which are well maintained, somewhat worn, and poorly maintained. And there's no other option here. You have to pick one of these 3. And we're going to make this a required question. So that one is done. Now let's move on to the street infrastructure. So the way that this question is set up is that it's a select all that apply, right? So we're going to add a question, and we're going to change the format to a checkbox. So now the data collector can select multiple options here. We're going to give this a name of street infrastructure. And let's type in all these options. Okay, so we now need to require this question be answered. And let's just quickly look at the options for formatting this. You can shuffle the order, you can validate the responses, and you can also give a description, which would go under the street infrastructure title for this question. When we're seeing it on the form, you'd get a little description. We don't need to do any of those things. We are now done with this question and ready to move on to the last one, which is recording the traffic volume. So let's add a question. Now this is a numeric question. We want them to provide a single number of how many vehicles, whether that be buses, cars, trucks, or motorbikes, how many vehicles tend to be present at that location in a given moment. So this is a number. We don't actually have a number option listed here. What you have to do is use the short answer option. So short answer, and let's put traffic volume. And if you remember, short answer was the type that we used up here when we said community name. And community name obviously has text. So if you don't change anything here, somebody for traffic volume could type in any character on the keyboard. And we don't want that. We want to limit it to a number only. So we're going to go to the three dots to look at our options and look at response validation. And so it's going to give us these options. We can limit this question to a number, to text. We can limit how many characters or other expression can be in there. Let's keep it at number. And then the second column here is a set of restrictions for numbers. So you can make a number greater than 0 or greater than 1. You could ask for a number between two values. You can say, is a whole number is a count? And in this case, that's what we want. We want it to be a whole number. We can't say that you see 5.5 vehicles, right? That's not true. You see 5 or 6 vehicles. So it's a whole number, meaning a count. And that's what we want to restrict it to. And if you wanted to give an error message, if somebody typed in something other than a whole number, you can type in a custom error message here. We can leave it blank for now. Now let's require this question. And with that, we're actually done with our survey. It's that simple. We're actually done already. Let me quickly orient you to some of the other things that you're looking at here in Google Forms. This is the questions tab or questions screen where you create and see the questions. When you send out this form and you start getting responses, you click on this tab and you'll start seeing them here. And since we don't have any data yet, nobody's responded to our form, let me bring over another form. This is actually the Data for Human Rights training form. So you'll see these are the questions that we programmed in previously. And in the training form, as of today, we have 13 responses. So let's click on that and see what this tab looks like. So you can look at a spreadsheet of all the tabs, all the responses. And you'll see, team ID, community name. There's a few extra questions in the example that you see in the other module. But you see some of our questions here, like street material and street quality. Okay, so you can have it as a spreadsheet. Close that out. You can also have already created beautiful graphs that are ready to put into a PowerPoint presentation or a report that you want to also analyze and just see, like, how are the different teams doing? Some teams might be collecting more or less data. Some teams might be active certain days and not the others. So you can monitor this as the data are coming in. And you can see different types of graphs are automatically set up for different types of questions. So a multiple choice question always comes in as a pie graph. There is another column here that I'm not going to cover here, but maybe explore on your own in Google for what these mean. But you can actually modify the settings of your questionnaire. A lot of these are set up for training purposes, classroom settings. I'm going to navigate back to my own survey, the one I just created. So here are the questions that we just typed in. And I want to share this survey with my team so that they can link to it in Formbox and use it offline in the field. So to do this, I'm going to push the send button, and it's going to by default start creating an email for me. I want you to click on this paperclip icon to get the link. Do not shorten the URL. I want you to use the whole link all the way to the end. Let me copy this and put it over here in a Google document just so you can see the full link. And the reason I want you to copy the whole thing is because Formbox requires you to enter the whole URL ending with view form, so /view form. Everything after view form gets deleted. So I'm going to delete the question mark and everything after the question mark. This is the link that I want to put into WhatsApp and share with my team. This is what the survey we created looks like online. So I can go ahead and actually answer this now. So I put in my email, choose my team. I put in a community name. I can select one of these options, another option, check all that apply, and put in a number. I can submit, and this is actually a live survey. That same survey gets used in Formbox and is available offline for teams to answer this for a bunch of different respondents. So that's how you create a Google form with a few simple questions, and I want to wish you all the luck in playing around in Google Forms, making surveys quick and easily, and getting it out into the hands of your data collectors to collect good quality data about things that matter. Thank you so much for watching. Bye.